Alrighty. All right, so we're back to discuss a couple items we added to the agenda. Do you want to do the public records first?
Yeah, let's do that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a new 11C and 11D for the agenda purposes. Did you say public records first?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So Mackenzie, just so we're clear, what we're seeing in the green red line is what the previous changes were, right?
I don't know. This is just what I was given.
Okay. Actually, sorry, you have the wrong version. So I think I sent you the second version is what you should be pulling up, but let me verify that. Sorry, everybody, we're working on it. Because there's a version from 2020. I just want to make sure that I sent you. Yeah, so that's second.
That one says civil citation penalty policy. That's why I was confused. And we were looking at public records.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. We're not on civil citation yet.
I mean, we can go there first if we want.
Sorry, I'm catching up here. Clearly, my Carl's Jr. burger did not suffice. So you're looking at the public records. Okay, fine. Let's go forward with the public records and we'll get to civil citation later.
That version that I had.
I believe so.
Okay, cool. Let me pull this over and we'll give it a go.
Sorry, everyone.
No, it's okay. That's what happens when you don't prep. So smooth always because we actually look at the stuff beforehand. Okay. So this is the civil penalty citation policy and procedure. Is this the one, Cass, you wanted me to look at?
No, so I thought we were going to do the public records, what you had.
Oh my God, sorry. That's my bad. closed it, and now my computer's like, sorry, you opened it. That's the one. Okay.
All
Did
right.
everyone get a chance to read this, or would you like me to start again? After our brief intermission.
Well, and so part of why we're reviewing it is regarding the fees issue, right? Because we want it to mirror what we just changed in the, um, documents that are purchasable from us.
Right. So
The
and we
fees.
went through this. I didn't see anything particular that I was like, we need to change, but I didn't want to just scroll through if other folks hadn't read it. Okay. Cost.
Oh, so there's our rule in DAS policy. Now let me look at DAS policy.
Cass, it would be helpful to know in policy if it's required for us to be able to provide paper copies. Because if it is, we probably need to go back in and look at that rule. We don't have to do it today. It would be like something we could add in November, but
I was just about to ask because I think earlier we were talking about providing physical copies, but
yeah, we actually removed that language because we don't really provide it, nor is it really necessary. But if statute requires it, or DAS policy, I guess, then we might need to look at that again.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up, I'm trying to find actually that policy. So give me 1 second. Okay, that's weird. Okay, that number has changed. It looks like it should be 107001030.
Is that right?
030.
Oh, 030. There we go.
Yeah. And I would love to have it actually. Yeah. 001030. Okay. That's the appropriate one. This is the DAS public records request fees and charges. Agencies subject to this policy must develop and implement internal processes and procedures that support compliance, deter abuse, and detect violations. Wow, they have a whole little spreadsheet about. Okay, so their standard fee schedule, and this was updated after this policy came into effect for us. So their standard fee schedule looks like staff time would be $25 an hour for clerical, $40 an hour for managerial, and 75 hours for professional, meaning IT and DOJ.
So I should be getting a lot of money, is what I'm hearing. I'm just kidding.
So for those, I mean, and so that to that point, I don't remember what we did with the fees.
Yeah,
We'll have to go back.
Can you see the rule? I just pulled it up.
Yeah, so you have $15 an hour for labor, and I think that changes to 25.
Do we want to include or partial hour?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we scroll back down, because we'll change this, it talks about standard copies, Cass. Do we want to, does does this policy require us to provide paper?
Yeah, let me look. You know, this does not 30-minute waiver. It says production of responsive records, fees generated by providing paper or electronic copies to requesters. So they have an or. Paper is not required.
Okay, so do we want to remove this?
Yeah.
Do you know, or Miriam or Heather, do you know what certification of public records is? I don't know what that is.
No.
Usually that refers to kind of like when they're asking for the ornamental certificate. It's us saying it's a sealed official record.
Yeah.
But we don't have since we don't deal with physical copies, like the courts have the little stamp that embosses on the record that it's a certified copy. So yeah, that's not appropriate for us anymore. Back in the day, we used to have it, but
Didn't we used to have like the oh, what was it? Kelly did the stamp
yeah.
kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay, so lists and labels, this is what the rule says.
So yeah, let's just mirror that. So
Okay. All right, just give me 1 second. Okay. And then in terms of labor charges, what was it for clerical staff?
it was
Cass?
25.
Okay.
And attorney review stays the same.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so must pay the fee before OBC sends a request to records.
Mm-hmm.
And all that still remains the same.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we're done.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just update this date as well when we bring it in November.
Yeah, awesome.
Perfect.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the other one.
Our civil citation policy. And now this one will need to mirror changes that we made to the fee rule.
Yeah, let me pull that up just a second.
Look at that beautiful template. I love our policy template.
Mhm.
The effective date stays the same. It's the ratification date that changes.
Is one of these also failure for the records kept at? Like especially when they retire or just in general?
We could add it. I don't think we've added it before. Oh, here it is. Failure to release patient records. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that one, but also like I get some public records requests, and I have a couple right now for like we're trying to get this patient's, it's a law firm trying to get patient records, and there's no like thing on file for where the records are kept at from the DC kind of thing with us. And I don't know if
Isn't there
that's
a
even
separate? Isn't there a separate policy,
is that
or is that
different?
this policy? It might be in this one.
Well, so would that be the failing to provide notice when leaving? Or you're talking about the kind of failing
There's
to
failure to explain who has custody of the
Yeah.
records when the
Yeah,
Records
person is going to
custodian.
retire. Yeah.
Let me see if we have anything in here that's records custodian. We just added patient records to release patient records.
Yeah, I mean, we can add another sub to it. Because I think you're right, Heather. I think it's worth having us be able to cite on it.
Just because I know I send them over to the investigators because they have to open I guess they have to open a complaint in order to try to find the records sometimes or
Yeah.
something like that.
So a new H could be failing to, what would it be? Provide or notify the board of the records custodian, or I mean designated records custodian. Upon sale or relinquishment of practice.
Is that the
Is that
only?
where that comes in?
Well, I
Or
was gonna say, is that the-
retiring, if
Yeah,
they're
is that the only
retiring.
time frame?
or
'Cause,
move
like-
to another state,
Or if they die.
which we wouldn't, I mean, how would we even be able to get money from that?
I mean, you'd have documentation ahead of time. You'd have something set up if you're being responsible.
Yeah. So does this cover it if we just leave it as failing to notify the OBCE? I mean, we have the board up in E, so I don't know if we have the board throughout here.
We should probably change it to OBCE because they're not notifying the board.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start at the top.
Well, the board
OAR,
delegates is fine.
Okay.
And the board delegate, yeah, those two first ones are fine. And then notice to the OBCE's executive director.
This one OBCE.
Yeah. Yeah, for some reason we were board happy when we wrote this first time. Did we freeze? Mackenzie,
you
are you
say?
still there? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
what'd you say?
Oh, I just thought you were frozen. I wasn't seeing anything.
No, I was just reading this paragraph and I had to close my door really fast.
There's a lot of
I
ands.
issue is instances in which the board issues a notice and civil penalty citation. Do we want to keep it at board or OBC?
I think OBCE because we're the agency
Okay.
issuing it.
Same thing goes for here.
Up at the first sentence in there, does it read instances in which the OBCE issues a notice and civil penalty citation and final default order? Like and.
Well,
They're all distinct things. Because notice is a legal term of
So
art.
do they get a notice? They get all three of those?
The
when
notice
they-
is within the civil penalty.
sorry, I'm trying to undo what I did and it won't let me.
You could say issues a notice of civil penalty citation. Yeah.
So they get both a civil penalty citation and a final default order.
They're all within the same document, but yes, they need to be they
Gotcha.
need to be designated separately. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
And you could put commas around therefore. So and comma therefore comma will not be considered.
Okay, we ready to scroll down?
Yeah. Looks good. Yep, that's fine.
Do we need so many capitals?
Well,
Yeah, those are the actual titles of the documents.
yeah. I think this one can be lowercase though, because it's lowercase other places.
Yeah, yeah. And you can say the licensee because we're not naming licensee, we're actually saying the. And I wouldn't change that one, Mackenzie. I'd leave that one alone. Yeah.
I was thinking this one too would stay the same.
Yeah.
All right, we good on this section?
Mm-hmm. And then I just push cost to the next page.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and implement the red line and then I'll do that later.
Okay.
This does
So-
not match what we did.
Right. Cost schedule
Let
is
me
as follows.
see.
I would just delete that first
Yeah.
sentence.
Okay. This one we don't implement near as much as we need to, honestly.
Yep. So just pay attention to that when that comes up because we can issue the citations. And I would say for B, delete, yeah.
I think this is 15 in the rule. Let me look really fast. Yeah, it says 15 in the rule. Right here.
Yes.
Is the DC portion still accurate?
Let me look really fast. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I didn't realize these were all on a roll too, so I just need to make sure the language is the same. 1 second. It's more complicated than I thought. Okay, chiropractic physicians, 250 plus 50 per credit hour, not completed. Or proof provided. And then the chiropractic assistant, 15 per credit, not completed. And it's 250 in rule for intro to the board. And for failing to notify the board within 10 days, it's $125 per week. Failing to release patient records within 30 days is 250 in the rule. And then it's 500 for the final one.
And then we'll need to add the new H.
Yeah. I don't want you guys to have to watch me do this because it's. Oh no, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm embarrassed.
So how much did we determine the H to be?
Okay, I got it. Don't worry. 1 second. I'm gonna share my screen again. I got it on the first try, but of course I stopped sharing my screen. So what are you gonna do? Okay, let's see here. Oh, we did not specify, and it's not in rule, so we'd need to do that too. Let me go grab the language really fast. Isn't this unreal? Okay, jeez Louise.
I think 500 would be totally appropriate, but that's just me. We're dealing with so much of this.
I mean, it's pretty much the same as this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It seems in line with it.
I think so.
Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna grab this language really fast because I'm just gonna bring the little rule guy over here. Since it's a part of the sections we were just referring to. Okay, now it matches.
Do we need to define that, or do you think that that's good enough?
Yeah, I guess defining when it is necessary, because if we're just, this almost makes it sound like people should be notifying us the moment they decide on a designated records custodian. Would it be like helpful to write the word when a designated records custodian is applies or is used or something like that?
When applicable or when necessary? So, is that what you mean?
Something like that, yeah.
When
I
needed?
mean, we could just mirror the language above and say, failing to notify the OBC of designated records custodian when leaving, selling, or retiring
Yeah.
from
The only-
chiropractic office.
My only pushback is when we were working on this policy last year or 2 years ago or whenever that was, there's a lot of reasons why you would need a records custodian, and so to list them almost feels like
Yeah.
trapping.
Right.
If applicable, comma, if applicable.
Yeah, I think it's if applicable. Even though if I was getting a citation on this, I would say, well, it wasn't applicable. And then what are you gonna do?
Well, I mean, if you're a records custodian for someone who's no longer in business, it applies, I guess. Like that's what's standard of practice. I mean, I don't know.
Does the
I'm okay
rule
leaving it as it
actually
is, but
just
go ahead, Mary.
say, does the rule just say that the chiropractor must provide an address of records custodian? Does it have anything else? Like the actual rule?
Let me
Okay.
look at our website really
'Cause
fast.
I couldn't remember the rule, sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna look really
I
fast.
have it. I have
Oh.
it. It says, shall establish a plan for custodianship in the event they are incapacitated, become deceased, are or will become unable to maintain these records.
Hmm. I feel like failing to notify the OBCE of designated records custodian, period, because it's defined in rule somewhere else. So that's straightforward.
Should
Okay.
we cite the rule there?
Did we
I
do
think if
that
we
in-
cited the rule there, we'd have to cite the rule for every one of them.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with it with that simple. Is everybody, board members, okay with that?
We could cite the rule in
Looks good. Looks good to me. It's not a rule
We-
once. You're gonna go crazy on it.
but we could cite the rule in rule if we wanted to, but we don't have to. I'm just
I wouldn't worry about that. So this is just kind of a flag for staff too. Once this is finalized, keep track of when these things occur. We could actually be citing people.
I do have a question about failing to maintain current email, business, mailing address, etc. Also, we went ham with the board, and I'm going to change that to OBCE. Are all of these okay to change to OBCE? I'm totally interrupting myself, but
Not with the introduction to the board, that stays that way.
This one's fine.
Yeah,
But required by the board or required by
Yeah.
the OBC?
OBC. OBC, yeah.
Okay. I will finish my sentence. It's just okay. Yeah, I have a question on this because, like, let's say someone moves and then, they notify us 10 days later. Like, what's a reasonable amount of time where they're failing to maintain current whatever? Because people, I mean, CAs often don't keep up their emails. They'll leave a job and like have like their businesses where they worked before, like that's the email contact. So this happens all the time. So I guess I'm just wondering, like, what is the time frame? What is so we're not just like 10 days later slapping people with this, I guess. Like within 30 days is what we've done before, within I guess 10 days down here. What do board members think? Because this affects you guys.
I mean, a month, 30 days sounds right, but
The rule says within 30 calendar days of any change.
30 it is.
mhm.
Which role was that?
I have the filing addresses 811-010-0015.
Okay, cool. All right, so failing to maintain current email business.
Just
email
go,
address.
just a second though. So is this really failing to maintain, or is it failing to notify of change?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, isn't that kind of the same thing?
Well,
You're
for
not
me,
maintaining a current.
right, but if I was reading this as licensee, I'd be like, well, no, I didn't fail to maintain. I mean, okay, yeah, I failed to maintain, I changed, but it doesn't tell me that I needed to notify the board.
Yeah, I mean, in E, we use notify.
Yeah.
Failing to notify.
Because I think the language is failing to maintain current or failing to notify of any changes.
Just change it to failing to notify the OBCE.
Yeah.
Does that include phone numbers?
Hmm. Well, we don't have it in here.
What does our
To be
rule say? I
honest-
don't think our rule says phone numbers, does it? Really, the most important thing for us with regard to email and business and mailing is for service. So if we need to track them down to serve them with a notice of some kind, that's what we need that for.
Sounds good.
Okay, let me change this in the fees rule really fast. Okay, so the fee rule has been updated too.
Okay, we're gonna need a new vote on the fees rule if you changed that. The fees rule itself that we just previously voted on.
Yeah, and I noted that we can have these be proposed changes that
Oh, yeah, because we
we-
didn't, yeah, got it.
that we bring back. Now, just for clarification, do you want me to file the version that we voted on earlier today
Well,
or
not
yesterday?
the fee rule itself that we had public rulemaking on. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would need a new vote on what was amended. If we've changed anything today on that fee rule from yesterday, we're gonna need a new vote on it.
Yeah, but if I were
Yeah.
to file the version yesterday, that like, and we just have these changes acknowledging that they're gonna come to. I'm just asking, like, if we file what was voted on yesterday, knowing that these changes are probably gonna come that we would just discuss today, but we don't add them, do we need to vote, or do we just wanna scrap it and vote again anyway? Does that make sense?
Well, I'm just trying to save you a step in filing. So if we just vote on the changes that happened today that are incorporated with yesterday's changes, then you can file the final with all of the changes made.
It would be simpler, but I know that
Yeah. So Michelle, what would you like to do? You want to just
Um, do we have to like do public feedback on that? Like, we just reopen rulemaking right now? I don't know procedurally how that works.
Well, we did notice just the actual fees changing, not the language of was associated with the policy. So Cass, what we could do is we could bring the fee rule, update it to November with just the actual like licensing renewal fees, and then bring it back as like a draft for administrative rules, because we're actually changing language associated with civil penalties and citations. So we'd still be able to vote on the fees that you guys voted on. Like, we'd still be able to implement those on the timeline that you just did. We'd have to vote. It's almost like two different things. So you voted yesterday to increase the fees. That's done. We just have to file that with OARD. And that's going to go into effect. You voted on the 15th. If we can still work on the fee rule, which is what we may or may not have just done, then we have to like vote to enter into rulemaking in November to make changes to it based on the civil citation information. Does that make sense? So it's kind of two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll keep the values that we voted on yesterday the same. Then we just need a motion to enter rulemaking on the citation changes.
Yeah, and it'll be specifically as a part of 11D.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will make a proposal to go into rulemaking for OAR 811-010-0008 in November.
It's specifically section 4.
Second.
Sorry, Mackenzie, you broke up.
Oh, it's just section 4, and then I heard a second from Scott, I think.
Yeah. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, Seth,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
and I for myself, motion carries.
Thank you for that. That'll help us get where we need to go, I think.
Okay, so then as far as the other public records request policy and the civil citation policy, we're going to bring back to November for final approval, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's purely because we want them in line with the fee rule when it goes into effect.
Right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that, and we just need to do more work on it internally rather than having you guys sit there and watch us make those changes.
Okay, and so I think that closes out. I don't think there's any other add-ons to the agenda, and we've covered all of our exec in the matters of.
All
So-
right. Well, thank you everybody for your time. Have a good weekend when you get there.
Thanks, everybody. Good work.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You
Bye,
too.
everyone.
Bye.
Aye.